In today's video, I want to answer a very interesting question about the last movement of the Moonlight Sonata. So one of our students asked us how to play the trills in the last movement. That is, in our score, that's bar 30. So it's this section. And then you have that once more later in the piece, if you're familiar with the piece, and that is in bars 125 and 127. So you have there, and then those places are one of the most difficult in this last movement, and in today's video I'm going to answer how you can approach these trills. The first and most important step is to know the fingering. First of all, bar 30. There is actually only one logical option. You have to start the octave with the black key, the A sharp, with the fourth finger, because you simply won't be able to do the trill. Because what are the notes? Actually, the notes are, you have to use the notes A sharp, B, and of course again A sharp. So in order to go from A sharp to B, if you start with the fifth finger, that would be impossible. So you need to start with the fourth finger. So your fingering would be 4, 5, 4, and then you need to go back to G, the small notes. We're looking at the small additional two notes, G sharp and A sharp again. So there you're going to use fingering 3 and 4. So what happens is 4, 5, 4, 3, 4, and then you land on the B natural with the fifth finger. The same is for bars, for bar 32. 4, 5, 4, 3, 4, 5. And the same goes for later in the piece. Absolutely same fingering for bars 125 and 127. So that's the first thing that you have to solve, because if you don't solve the fingering problem, you cannot move on to playing actually this difficult passage. Now, as we know, what is a trill? Well, in the case of bars 30, if we just take the A sharp, trill would be this. Alternating between the A sharp and the B for a certain amount of time. Now, here it is important to answer the question, how long are we going to do that? Because you don't play a piece that's this tempo, because then you have all the time in the world to alternate between the A sharp and the B, and I'm going to just focus on bar 30, but that's the same applies of course to the other bars. Now the easiest, and I thought in this video we're going to focus on that, is to basically do only one switch between A sharp and B. What I mean with that is just do it once, like A sharp, B, A sharp, and move on to the other notes. So you have only once, and then you go, instead of more times alternating between A sharp and B, we're going to do it just once. So we go A sharp, B, A sharp, and then we move on to the other notes. To give you an example, with bar 32, you're going to have F double sharp, then of course we go up, back to F double sharp, and we move on to the next two notes. Why do we do this? That's simply because the majority of people won't be able, and many professionals would just use this as an option, as an alternative to play instead of alternating more times between the A sharp and the B, because that requires a great set of skills. You need to be able to do it very quickly in a very fast tempo. You need to be able to alternate, and not only that, you need to alternate between these two notes with the fourth and the fifth finger, which makes it very difficult. So that's why we're going to focus on a very simple, yet it's going to be challenging, but it's a very simple version which actually is used very often, and that is just going once. So make sure that you fix that in all the bars. nobody is ever going to hear if you repeat it only once. If you do, or if you do, nobody is going to hear that in a fast tempo. From experience, I know that that works, and you will see later on that that's a great trick to accomplish great results with this place. So we fixed that, and then we need to move on to the next step of this equation, and that is how to time it, because of course you have the left hand, you have 4/16 notes. It's very, very simple. Look what we're going to do. As you see, we have 3 notes in the right hand, A sharp, B, A sharp, and we have 2 notes in the left hand. So it's very simple. It's going to be 3 against 2. And we've talked about that in some of our previous videos. We are going to link that up somewhere here. So you need to know, because in this video we're not going to dive into the topic of 3 against 2, but you need to know, for the purpose of solving this equation, 3 against 2, and then you align the G sharp, the first of the small 2 next notes of the right hand, you align them with the F sharp of the left hand, and then you play basically the last 2 notes together with the F sharp and the C in the left hand. I'll do it very slow. 3 against 2, and then together 2 notes. You see? I'm going to show you for bar 32. As I said before, you definitely can do a longer trill, but that is for the very, very, very advanced people. And not only, even professionals, like I said, don't do that. Some would do it, some would not do it. It doesn't really matter. Nobody's going to hear it in a fast tempo. It's going to sound brilliant if you can do what I'm offering you here. Last but not least, how to practice this. Very light. Make sure that you have only 2 accents in the beginning on the first A sharp, then super light, and then a little accent on the B at the end. So what you get is, so you want to hear basically what you hear, the structure of the piece. You hear A sharp, B, and then you hear because those actually are the main notes. So you need to practice right hand very light with 2 notes that pop up a little bit. And then, because the lighter you play the notes in between, the easier it becomes to play the passage. Exercise you can do in order to time things well is you can stop after the 3 against 2. You can stop on the G sharp of the right hand and the F sharp in the left hand. When you're comfortable with that, you can add 1 note, and then you can stop at the end. That will ensure that you build the sequence step by step. As always, if you have any further questions, anything that you want to know about this piece or any other piece, feel free to let us know down in the comments below. For me, as always, it was a great pleasure recording this video for you, and we will see you next week again.